Good evening everyone and welcome to the Project Cars 2 Apex Online Racing Formula Renault 3.5 League. This is Season 2 on the PC and we're here with round number 5 from Laguna Seca. My name is Thompson and I will be commentating on tonight's race for you. So I hope everybody's doing absolutely fantastic and looking forward to the race as much as I am. So we've got an interesting constellation coming up, so let me get that standings up for you. There we go. That's more like it. So, current driver standings, and as you can see, after last week, Yoguk has extended his gap in the championship to 54 points, which means with a very, very, very good run tonight, he might be able to clinch that championship. But obviously having a look, Mike, who is behind him, is unfortunately not able to attend tonight, so his closest rival will be Inky Chris, who's 58 points behind. Obviously a win is worth 35, and you get 2 points for fastest lap and 2 points for pole position, so the maximum amount of points to gain on a race evening obviously is 76, so with a 76/77 point gap towards Inky Chris, that would seal him the championship tonight, so we'll have an eye out on that one. But as you might have calculated, he'll need around about 30 points to get that gap, so currently it's only 58 and he'll need 29 more of a gap he'll need to pull out, so if Inky Chris has good performances, he'll be able to keep that battle going. So just having a look on track, and it looks like people are starting to go out. Unfortunately not so many drivers as we're used to this time around, as obviously a lot of people currently in their holiday break, as Domino goes a bit off there on the outlap, and I feel like we've seen that before in Formula Racing last weekend. So let's have a look. Oops, I don't want to quit the session, no thank you. At our current championship leader, Yoguk, who is also currently in his outlap, and we are going to follow him around for a lap around Laguna Seca. So let's go on board then with him as he starts his lap around the final corner. 11 turns here at the Californian circuit here in Laguna Seca. This first kink is turn number 1, and then the first real braking zone is here into turn number 2, the Andretti hairpin. Very tight, kind of double apex, and then you accelerate out again into turn 3, and want to take a lot of curb there. A bit of oversteer moment there from Yoguk into the next 4. A lot of curb there on exit, as much as you dare take. And next into the braking zone of turn 5. A lot of camber here in the corner as we go uphill to turn 6. Very fast left-hand kink. Oh, as he goes across that curb quite aggressively. Now up the hill and into the corkscrew. Most infamous corner here at Laguna Seca as it drops down to turn 9 to rainy curve, and that's Yoguk unfortunately off with only 2 corners to go, and again I misclick here, so unfortunately I can't find anyone currently that's oh, there we go. Let's follow Domino for the rest of the lap so we can see how it ends, because obviously Yoguk aborting that one. So this is where Yoguk went up and then off, sorry, and then we've got turn number 10 and turn 11. One of the tightest corners here. Last corner, difficult to get right, and then put the power down to get up to the line, which is obviously here under the gantry, and that's 1 lap of Laguna Seca. So with fewer drivers, here tonight. That obviously means less traffic issues during qualifying laps. You can see currently Inky Chris there setting a new personal best. He was already sitting in provisional pole position, but improved his time to now 1 minute 8.6, which is 2.3 seconds clear of the time of Happy Allen's second. So Inky Chris right up to the pace, whereas other drivers still looking to find improvements, getting used to the track, getting their rhythm in, and Inky Chris doing everything he can at the moment to stay in that championship fight. So looks like Yoguk currently in a cool down lap before he will go again for another run. As usual, if you have any questions or anything you want to send me, feel free to send a message in the chat. I'm going to try to have an eye out on the chat throughout the evening. Obviously, if there's a lot of track action going, it will be difficult to try and fit any questions in, but if there's any time, I'm happy to answer anything if it comes up. So York now with a 1 minute 7.2, so clinched that provisional pole there from Inky Chris. Fubar has pushed himself into second with a 1 minute 8.2, but I'm pretty sure everybody will continue to find improvements as they get more and more used to the track. And obviously sometimes maybe a lap or two can help to get the tyre temperatures right in that sweet spot. As we can see, everybody doing multiple laps on their qualifying stints. And Yoguk currently going through turn number 9. Better line through there this time, not going off track. And looks like he's gonna start a new flying lap now. So we'll keep an eye on him. His teammate, Speedo, having a bit of technical issues today, I've heard. But at the moment, looks like he's driving okay. But no lap time yet from Speedo. And oh, that's a big moment there through the corkscrew. Just held onto that one. But that will have cost him a lot of time, as he now tries to at least set a banker lap. It's the last of the drivers not yet to set a lap time. And he ends up in 4th, even with that big moment. So looks like he might have decent pace here, Speedigo. And pretty sure he should be able to get into the 1 minute 7s from what we've seen so far. So currently the top 5, Yoguk, Fuba, Inky Chris, Speedigo and Gromazika. You can see Speedigo currently 1.5 tenths up on his previous best. As the Bandai Namco car there getting out of the way. Ooh, that was a bit wide from Speedigo there. I'm not quite sure if that might have invalidated his lap time. It definitely cost him time. So that one cost him about 3 or 4 tenths, I'm gonna guess. And looks like he's aborted that one. So Gromazika here, I think he's just starting a flying lap. It's been a bit of a quiet one this season, but solidly delivering. So usually keeping out of troubles, but having a look at his record, P4, 7, 6th, a 5th, another P8 and another P6. So consistently in the top 10, but not yet had that perfect result for him in a weekend. So interesting to see if he's going to get a chance to maybe get a podium this season. He's been not one of the fastest drivers, but he's been nice and consistent with a decent amount of pace. But currently not improving on his current lap time. Oh, as he goes round there in the corkscrew. And we might see that more often. And in the races as well. So that's something we're going to have to watch out for. As Joguk currently on a outlap. As is Fubar. We've got 6 minutes remaining in the session. So plenty of time to get your lap times in. So no split sector there from Inky Chris. So either we're just not shown that from the game, or he's currently also on an outlap, but it looks like he's pushing, so don't think he is just on an outlap. So let's wait and see if he can improve. Current lap time is 1 minute 8.3, about 1.1 seconds off from the lead. And he does not improve, half a tenth down, and he stays in third. So, now 5 minutes left. And is that Joguk there in front of him? Oh, no, it's not. That was Speedy Go, but Joguk here. Running very wide in turn 6. Really trying to find the limits here. And currently overstepping the mark. But to be fair, he's in a comfortable position at the moment. Not really too threatened for pole position so far, but you never know. Someone pulls a magic lap out of the bag. And he will surely go again. Domino, currently sitting in 10th, has been struggling a bit throughout this season. But looks like he's caught up to the midfield pace here at Laguna Seca. Last weekends haven't been too great for him. Last week in Italy he got disqualified in one of the races, and then in the 3 before that one he did not finish. So he'll be trying to rectify that with 12 cars running. Points are guaranteed if you see the flag. But obviously he'll try and leave some drivers behind him, as he currently sits 11th on the provisional grid. And I keep pressing the wrong button, I'm sorry for that. As at Fubar now on a flying lap, it seems. Got a nice bit of clear space there. Just one car in front of him. Everybody else is on the other side of the track. So that might be nicely timed there from Fubar. As he comes up to hill to this corkscrew. Trying to get the power down nicely. That was a very, very tidy line through there. And Inky Chris has pipped Fubar, by the way, now for 2nd place. Only just with 17.7, just 2 tenths faster than Fubar. So let's see if Fubar can get back ahead. Currently the 2 championship rivals sitting on the front row. As Fubar now starting another lap. So can he find that 2 tenths or possibly more to gain some positions? Inky Chris currently only in the pits, so I'm not sure if he's just waiting for a window to go out for his last final lap. Joguk currently on an outlap, as we can see. But what can Fubar do? That's a big question now. As he comes down into the corkscrew. Now 1 sector to go to try and improve his time. But as we can see, looks like he's aborted it for now. So it's got 4.8 litres in the tank. He should be able to go out, to just do another lap. So he's preparing for that. 1.5 minutes remaining in the session. You're currently coming down into turn 1. His teammate Speedigo currently also only in the pits. So, not quite sure what Speedigo and Inky Chris are waiting for. Or whether they're certain that they are not going to improve their times. And looking at the clock, they will not be setting any further times. As we can see, as Yoguk looks like he's currently in a very good lap. Looking how quickly he's already here at the back end of the circuit. Or at the opposite side, I should say. So Inky Chris and Speedigo won't be improving their times. So might be game over for them. And job well done from Yoguk. There's still some time in the session. Fubar also trying to improve on it. Is that Fubar right ahead there? No, it's Fubar's teammate there in front of Yoguk. And we can see it looks like Yoguk had to abort his lap. So he's now slowed down to allow a gap to be built. And I'm just having a look. Yeah, that was Darth Cyrus there. And you can see Darth Cyrus currently 7 seconds slower than Yoguk. So that's not someone Yoguk wants to have in his way when he starts his flying lap, as he does now. Got a few more drivers out. Fubar aborted his lap, so he's not going to challenge. Smolder off circuit. Gromazika is going to finish his lap, but looks like he's not going to improve. He's backed off. Atomic still going for it. And then we've got Domino, who I think has crossed the line in time, but he's off now. So I don't think he's going to improve. Yoguk is also in the pits, and that is qualifying done. And that's the first 2 points for Yoguk. He needs to increase his championship lead towards Inky Chris to maybe clinch the championship tonight. So we've got Yoguk, Inky Chris, Fubar, Speedigo, Smolder, and that's everyone gone. TPW, Gromazika, Atomic, Happy Al, the kinky one here, Domino, and then Darth Cyrus at the back of the grid. So everybody now got a 2-minute period where they can get their setups in order. So obviously hello to everyone who might have joined the stream a little later tonight. Haven't missed any racing action yet. So as you can see on the table on the left hand side, that's the qualifying results. And we're going to be starting with the 16-lap sprint race very shortly. So at the moment, Yoguk now sitting at 213 points after getting that pole position. And we're looking forward here to the race start. And it doesn't matter who I click on, I always get to see the same car. It's a bit annoying bug, but I have to live with that for the moment. And hope that everything gets back in order once the race starts. So, it's definitely going to be a very interesting race. Considering the tight nature of the track, overtaking might be difficult, but keeping on the track might also be. So, interesting strategy tonight could be to try and pressure the car ahead into a mistake. That might be easier than trying to get past. As we can hear, the cars now revving. And the lights are on, as we can hear in the background. Unfortunately, we don't get them on screen, so we'll just have to wait until the race is underway. And now it is, and it looks like a good start there at the back. But what's happening on the front? Yogurt going to the inside. Fubar trying to have a look there on the inside of Inky Chris, who's on the outside down into turn number 2, but has to slot in behind Yogurt for the moment. Fubar staying in third. We've got Small in fourth behind. And, oh, that's, I think, Gromazika off there in the background. Yes, there he goes, off into the sand, and he drops all the way down to 10th. Happy Al has hit the wall and is now in 11th without a front wing, will have to come in for repairs. So that start hasn't gone to his liking, as Yogok already trying to stretch his legs here at the front of the pack. Inky Chris following behind, followed by Fuba. So looks like these three are going to be battling for the podium positions, if they can keep it on track, that is. Behind, we've got a little group here. We've got Smolder with the kinky one here. That's for P5 and 6. And it looks like already we've got a great spread. Didn't see that Atomic was in some incident. He might have needed to take avoiding action there at the start of the race with the crash there from Happy Hour. But that's already a 13-second gap, as we can see. And Yogg already 1.3 seconds ahead after lap 1. Fuba continuing to put pressure onto Inky Chris. So looks like a fairly okay start for most of the drivers. Unfortunately, Gromazik and Happy Hour having to come into the pits after that issues at the start. And Fuba really putting the pressure onto Inky Chris. I mean, ideally, Inky Chris wants to finish ahead of Yogok and close that gap to keep his championship hopes alive. But finishing on the podium might be enough, but it's definitely gonna lessen his chances next time round if he wants to win. And for whatever reason, the camera keeps switching to Domino. I don't know why that is, so I'm very sorry about that. Looks like Yogok had some sort of mistake there in the final sector, as Inky, Chris and Fuba have again caught up a little bit to him. Ask Turbo in the chat, good evening to you. Welcome to the race. So just to get you informed, we've got a little perhaps championship battle going on here, since Mike is not attending tonight, who's second in the championship. The battle is on basically between Yogok and Inky Chris, the two drivers running in first and second at the moment. But Fuba had looked pretty pacey in qualifying, but has dropped off now a little bit, so must have made a mistake somewhere. You can see TPW there in the background, closing in to Fuba. So we'll have to wait and see if that's going to be a battle that is going to occur. But it's important to continue concentrating, putting the laps in. And again, the camera has switched over. That's very annoying. We can see Atomic again having issues. It's not the first race where he's been driving around without front wing, and that's going to cost him a lot of time. And surely throw him back to around where Gromazik and Happy Ellis, and Gromazik again into the pits. So either that was a very lengthy pit stop, or he was out again and had another crash. So not going too well for some drivers at the moment, but here at the front we can see Fuba trying to hang on to Inky Chris there, who again is not quite able to hold pace with Yogok at the front. And TPW now, the next driver with a mistake. He was currently running in 4th, now down into P6 behind Kinky One after making a mistake. So that's very unfortunate. Driver from the Tickish Atoms, who not having a great time there. You can see TPW fighting his car. His teammate has been in the pits, and it looks like Happy Owl in the pits again. So some drivers struggling with keeping it on the track, and as I say that, TPW going off again, and currently not going very well. We've already lost 2 drivers here, so I'm down to 10 runners, and that is both of the Ticklish Atoms into the pit, so TPW and Atomic behind, as camera continues to only show me 1 car, which is a bit annoying, but sorry for that. We'll try to keep pushing on here, as you can see Fuba's and Inky Chris gap kinda staying the same now. And Yogok pulling away, extending the gap ever so slightly. So, currently on lap 5 out of 16. Already nearly a third of the race gone. And Atomic, by the way, is currently in the... that's Domino who's in the wall, but it's going to show me Atomic here. There we go. Atomic currently in the pits, and he already has a time penalty, so that's 30 seconds. Wow, what did Atomic do to get that amount of penalties? I know you can get 10 seconds for speeding in the pits, but 30 seconds, that's a bit outrageous here, as we're on board with Fubar, having his view on Inky Chris, and that's already a lap car there. That must be TPW, since his teammate is in the pits. So he'll try to get out of the way, not bother anyone, and then press on with his race. With 10 drivers in the race, obviously everybody will get points, but well, unless you finish the race, obviously. But unless you have a big moment and crash out, you are guaranteed some points. But every position does count, and especially in the midfield, it's quite tight between drivers. So just to perhaps give you an idea, so TPW is 6 points ahead of Vlad, who's obviously not here today, who's 4 points ahead of Hegelom, who's also not here. So we've got quite a few drivers not there tonight, so every point that you can gain today can make huge inroads in the championship. It's in the midfield pack. As we can see, TPW now kind of getting into the way of Inky Chris. That's allowing Fubar to catch up. And I'm pretty sure Inky Chris will not be very happy about that, as Fubar does run wide there, validating his lap time for exceeding track limits. And will TPW get out of the way quicker now? Well, I mean, that's the way to do it. I'm pretty sure that wasn't on purpose, but he is out of the way now of Fubar. Gap currently to Inky Chris 1.4 seconds, and Fubar's gonna have to think about how he wants to close up to Inky Chris to try and get past. And Yog meanwhile really stretching away with a 1.9.5. But to be fair, Inky Chris and Fubar can also run 1.9s, but currently struggling a bit to keep consistent, whereas Yoguk is doing that lap after lap after lap and expanding that lead that he has. So Fubar not on the limit yet. He knows there's still a bit to go. As I say that, he used all of the curb there on exit, and you can see this is a kind of the driver's view coming into the corkscrew, basically blind, going down the drop here because you're sitting so close to the ground. And looks like at the moment Fubar might have stepped up his game, because as you can see, as I say that, he runs wide. That will of course time, as he's closing in onto Inky Chris now. As that might be Happy Al getting out of the way there. As the gap between Fubar and Inky Chris now down to less than half a second. So it seems like in this middle part of the lap, Inky Chris a bit stronger than Fubar. Always extending the gap just a little bit, but then through the corkscrew and the back end of the circuit, it looks like Fubar then always closes back in. So bit of to and fro between the two, as you can see here in the corkscrew. Fubar gaining 0.2. It's definitely stronger there. But out of the corkscrew and then down here into turn number 10. A bit difficult to try and line up a move, but you can get close here for turn 11, and then down the main straight, trying to make a move perhaps into turn number 2. Not this time around, Fuba's not quite close enough. Again, gap still about half a second, as it has been last lap. And again, both of them are in the 9s. Both of them this time around actually quicker than Yoguk. So that's what I've mentioned. The two guys here have the pace to keep up with Yoguk, but at the moment, Yoguk just too consistent for the guys. So already on lap 10 now, so time is again flying by in this sprint race as it usually does. Fuba still trying to put the pressure here on Inky Chris, and at the moment doesn't really look like he's going to find an avenue past, but if he keeps the pressure up, as I've said, maybe he can force Inky Chris into a mistake to try and get past, but it's definitely going to be a battle. And they've got 6 laps, including this one, to go. So gap to Yoguk still extending. Has a just seen Gromazika now also has a time penalty. Let's have a look. That's just 3 seconds. So not much to worry about considering the gaps. But Atomic has again we've got Domino here on screen. I don't know why the game does that. Atomic only having a 22-second gap, and he's got a 30-second penalty, so he'll be someone who'll have to watch out and try and extend that gap. As Fuba and Inky Chris now starting lap 12. Again, still trying to hold on to that one, Inky Chris. It's under a lot of pressure from Fuba, from the, I think it's the Guinness Baguette Racing team. If I'm not mistaken, yes it is. As we've got another 4 laps after this one. And it's interesting to see that we've got this to and fro between the drivers. Always when it looks like one driver might get the upper hand here in pace, the other one fights back. But at the moment, it's still a stalemate. So again, apologies for the camera issue. It seems like the game doesn't like cars going across the start-finish straight, which is a bit unfortunate, and cuts to another car. It looks like Fuba a bit closer than he was the last couple of laps, and as I say that, commentators curse him into the it's not gravel, it's sand really. But yeah, that did cost him some time. And he'll try and have to close up again. Kinky One into the pits. Looks like he might have had some front wing damage, so that's unfortunate. As Gromazika has caught up to Domino here, which is the battle for P6. So at the moment, I'm unfortunately experiencing some technical difficulties. I hope the stream is still running fine. I'll try to fix it between the races. As we see Roma Seca really close there in the corkscrew behind Domino. And Fubar now with a penalty for exceeding track limit. So he's got a 3-second penalty. So even if he gets ahead, he'll have to pull a gap. And talking about getting ahead, that's Roma Seca and Domino going side by side here down the start-finish straight. And it looks like... Whoa! That's a moment there from Domino. He did try to go in late up the inside to get that position back. But just carried too much speed there into turn 2 and went round. And that is Roma Seca through, and he's already got that 3-second gap that he needs to stay in front after the race, after the penalty. So, back to the battle here for P2 on track. Again, Fubar still can't find a way past Inky Chris. It's going to be interesting in the second race when we have the reverse grid. If it stays as it is, actually means Fubar will start a position ahead of Inky Chris. And if he then can pull away, if he's legitimately got more pace than Chris. But at the moment... if he has it, he can't show it because he's been stuck behind the gearbox of Inky Chris for the last 15 laps. So, coming down the start-finish straight, they will start the final lap of the race. And you can see it looks like Inky Chris at the moment has a fairly comfortable lead coming into the last lap. Fubar would have to produce something magical here if he wants to get past. But looks like at the moment it's going to be very unlikely. Obviously carrying around that 3-second penalty with him as well. And oh! That's Fubar off! Really pushing it, trying to close up to Inky Chris, and just keeping it out of the wall. And now he's got Smolder behind him for company, who's had a decent race, kept it clean, and doesn't have a penalty unless Fubar. So it looks like with that mistake, Fubar's throwing away a potential podium here. It's absolutely crazy. So, we've got Yog here crossing the line to win the first race tonight here at Laguna Seca. Good job there from him. Inky Chris coming around to finish second, but looking at this here, I think that will mean that Smolder is going to hand... Fubar's going to hand Smolder that way round. That podium position, the gap is 1.5 seconds, and that's not going to be enough, which means Smolder is going to finish on the podium. So, great result there from him, as Fubar only finishes in 4th. We've got TPW here coming around. He's going to take P5 unless anything very weird happens. And just having a look, that's Smolder's first podium of the whole season. So, he's going to be very happy about that, I'm very sure. Roma Seca is going to come home in 6th, it seems. And Domino currently in 7th. So I'm going to quickly take some notes from that race results. Then in the break, unless I can fix that technical difficulties, going to try and calculate possible... championship standings there. So we've got Yogg, Inky Chris, then we've got Smolder with his... Where is he? There we go. With his first podium of the season, so good job there. Fubar fortunately only finishing in 4th. And then we've got TPW, Roma Seca, Domino, the Kinky One, Happy Al, and Atomic. So, top 5 noted on my sheet. Let's put in Speedy Go as well. I think he DNF'd or disconnected, unfortunately, so that's no points for him. And then very shortly we will be back with the second race. I'm going to try to fix my setup here and try and going to calculate some standings there to tell you what the gap is. And then we'll be back in just a moment. Alright, welcome back. As that incredible sprint race ended, we're now preparing for the feature race. I'm happy to tell that I got that issue fixed, so stream should be continuing without any issues. And I did some calculations in the break, considering the championship. So Joguk, with the fastest lap and his pole position, is now up to 250 points, whereas Inky Chris, gaining that 30 points for second, is up to 183. And if I'm not mistaken, that's a gap of 67 points. And as we had discussed, Joguk needs a gap of 77 points to win the championship, basically. So just having a look, that means he needs another 10 points, and that could be something like him finishing first and Chris finishing third, or let's say Joguk comes in third. That means Inky Chris has to finish in fifth. Something like that would give a 10-point gap and the championship to Joguk. So we're definitely going to have an eye out on that throughout the race. And at the moment, everybody getting ready for the second race. So let's go back onto track. There we go. Everybody lined up for the reverse grid. So at the front we have Atomic on pole position here on the reverse grid. Happy Hour second. Kinky One is going to start in P3. Domino in fourth. Gromazik in P5. TPW in sixth. Fubar in P7. Small in 8th. Inky Chris 9th. Joguk 10th. And then we've got Darth Cyrus. It's going to start from the back of the pack because he didn't finish the race. So as you can see, Speedy Go is not going to start the second race. He's just sent a message that he won't be starting that second one. So not his night tonight. So he will be watching that main race, which is going to be 32 flying laps after this formation lap. And talking about flying laps, we've already reached the formation point, which is just here before turn 10. And everybody now lining up in a 2x2 formation. Small grid, so hopefully everything goes well tonight. As we come around the final corner, and basically here when the rumble strip ends, that's when the acceleration zone begins. And Atomic still waiting. And now he's gone. The race is underway, and a good jump there from Atomic towards Happy Al, who's in second place. Lost quite a bit of time as looks like Kinky One going up the inside. Possibly a bit of contact there between the two drivers, but everyone keeping it on track. Can see Fubar making moves here, is already behind Gromo Zika there. And I think that was actually around the outside there of Domino. So a great move there from Fubar as Atomic stretching his legs, trying to get away. And Fubar now on the attack here versus Gromazika up the inside into turn number 5. Can he hold it? Yes, he can. Fubar already up into P4, showing what great pace he could have had last race if he's not stuck behind somebody else, as he's already trying to have a run here at Happy Al in third. Surely not into the corkscrew. I thought about it for a second there, but thought better of it. That's really not a spot for overtaking. That's really risking your car trying to go up the inside there, as we can see a mistake there from Happy Al, and that's Fubar already up into third. Great start from the race there from him. Joguk already up into 7th, and Inky Chris in P6. So that top 3 group trying to get past there, as actually Inky Chris and Joguk here with a drag race down through turn 1, down into turn number 2. Who's going to be the latest of the late breakers? Inky Chris has the inside. Joguk late on the brakes, trying to use that outside line, carry a bit more speed. There you can see he got a bit sideways there on the acceleration, but he's through, and actually he's going to get Groma Zika in the same process as well. Again, big moment there for Joguk, but he is through and he's now into P5. Great stuff there from Joguk. That's definitely a championship drive if I've ever saw one. But Fubar currently now up into second after getting past Kinky One. Next up, Atomic. And that's then already for the lead of this race for Fubar. So wow, what a flying start from that top 3 group, especially from Fubar. He did start 5th last, but wow, he really cut through the field. I mean, Yogg as well with that great overtaking maneuver, and Inky Chris currently, I wanted to say in P6, but Happy Hour with the mistake there, promoting Inky Chris up into P5. But he will need to keep in touch there with Yogg if he wants to be in that possible championship position after tonight. But currently Yogg looking very strong. Mistake there from the Kinky One, running wide, trying to defend versus Inky Chris here, and looks like at the moment he can hold on to that one. But question is for how long? Meanwhile, at the front, Fubar closing in the gap on Atomic, 6/10 on the current lap, even though I think Fubar was still doing overtakes on that one. So he definitely trying to go for the lead here. We can see if Atomic set a provisional fastest sector 2, and it was immediately crushed by Fubar. 3/10 quicker there that time around. Meanwhile here in the midfield, still a lot of battling going on as... Oh, the Kinky One with a big moment there, and I think, did he touch the wall? Had a big moment there, went off. And I think he might have just kept it out of the walls, so lucky escape there for him. Promotes some drivers up a position here, smaller now in P6, trying to catch Gromazika. Back to the front here, Fubar on the back of Atomic has now closed that gap, but it's going to be interesting to see if the pace advantage is good enough. It's been stuck for Inky Chris for basically the whole of the sprint race, but we've seen the first couple of laps that Fubar does now have to overtake if he gets the chance. Now, what is Atomic's pace? I don't think it's going to be enough. 1.5 seconds slower on the last lap compared to Fubar. So should be, you'd think, easy pickings there, as Fubar does run a little wide. But he is definitely right on Atomic's tail. Oh, that's a big moment there for Atomic coming out of the last corner. That means that's Fubar going to have the run here on Atomic. Is he going to try and go around the outside? Yes, he is. But currently Atomic holds on to that one. Fubar trying to do the switch back here to no avail. Oh, and that was a big moment there for Atomic. Where did he go? Oh no, he's in the wall. Oh, that's so unfortunate. Atomic was doing so well, and then when put under pressure by Fubar, he cracked, and that will have ruined his race. That's very unfortunate, but as we can see, Yogg now only 1.5 seconds behind Fubar, and I'm pretty sure he's going to try and challenge for the lead. Inky Chris currently in third, and if Yogg gets past Fubar, and Inky Chris doesn't get past as well, that is championship decided right there. Obviously, I think the only chance Inky Chris will then have is try and go for the fastest lap, and try and get 2 more points. So Yogg only gains 8, but don't know how likely that is. Having a look at Yogg's pace last race, he did get the fastest lap as far as I know, if I'm not mistaken. I'm pretty sure he'll have to have the pace to do this again in this race. So on effectively lap 6 now, as Yogg is trying to catch up to the back of Fubar. So, having a look, current rundown here. We've got Fubar currently in the lead after a good start. Yoguk followed him into P2, sorry. Please bump. Now sound from Cars 2. Yeah, I did notice that. But you should have sound now. So tell me if that's now better. As Yoguk not currently making the inroads he perhaps was hoping for. So as I've said, Inky Chris in third. Gromazika now in P4. Still followed by Smolder. So it's going to be interesting to see if Smolder can get past. Yoguk setting a new fastest sector 1. Happy Al currently in P6th. Kinky 1 in 7th. Domino with a time penalty in P8. We've got Darth Cyrus in 9th. And then TPW and Atomic. Again, not having a good race. Not a good evening for the Ticklish Atoms. Currently running in 10th and 11th. As Yoguk trying to get ever closer to Fubar. But currently not finding enough pace. No one in the 1:09 9s yet. Obviously the fuel load is higher than it was last time around, since race distance is twice as long. Inky Chris into the pits. That's an interesting strategy. So we'll have to note that. He was in for his mandatory stop. And again, it's sounding like, seeming like my technical issues have reappeared. So I'm very sorry about that. I hope it'll be fine for the rest of the stream. If not, I might have to restart or something. I'm not quite sure yet. Try to press on for now. As it looks like at the moment, Yoguk kind of staying in that 1.5 second window towards Fubar. But it's going to be interesting to see where Inky Chris is going to end up after the pit stops. Did opt to go for the aggressive undercut here. But that will have kind of put him into traffic. As you can see, he's got Happy Al ahead here. There he is. So we'll have to get past him unless he does also make an early pit stop. So, there we have it. Inky Chris making the move on Happy Al. That was a fairly easy job. And he's through into P5. TPW already getting blue flags. It seems. That's actually on the Kinky one. So the gap really big. Getting lapped by 7th position at the moment. And again, Yoguk this time around just a few hundredths quicker. So more or less very, very, very close on pace. The two drivers here in the at the front of the field. And that looks like one of the Ticklish Atoms. Now ahead of them. I think that's Atomic. Let's hope he doesn't get in the way too much. As he now receives his blue flags. New fastest sector 3 from Yoguk, by the way, on the last lap. As Fubar's already now passed and everyone's a bit wide. Again, that's a strategy to let someone through. I'm gonna guess not the optimal ones. But yeah, what are you going to do? Oh, Fubar already again with a 3-second penalty. And is this going to be the second race that's going to cost him a position due to penalties? Obviously, there's still a long way to go. So Yogok obviously might pick one up as well. But it's been fairly clean through most of the races, as far as I know. So that might be a strategy there, right there. Obviously, you won't be aware of that, I think, in the car. But that might help him. And as it stands, I think Yogok is in a good shot here to win the championship tonight. But we'll have to wait and see. Oh! And, oh dear, that was Darth Cyrus, but he's got the same livery, obviously. That he's in a team with Fuba, and I was shocked there for a second, because I thought that was Fuba, but it was his teammates there in the gravel. That would have been a turn of events right there. Wow, that gave me a big shock there for a second. But Fuba continuing currently in the lead on track. And it's going to be interesting to see also how these two guys plan their stops. Because Yogok has had success and had races where it didn't work out with the strategy. So we'll have to see how things pan out. Currently the gap still around 1 second. Inky Chris now saying hello on the time board. Fastest sector 3 there from him. So he's currently doing very well. Last time around did the exact same lap time as Yogok. Well, that's interesting. Gap to the lead is currently 26 seconds. And the last couple of races, the gap for a pit stop was about 30. Although I think it's a bit lower here, but it might literally be 25 to 27 seconds around that window. So at the moment, I think Inky Chris might be right there with those guys. So that's definitely going to be interesting towards the end of the race when all pit stops have played out. But, just having a look here, Smolder still behind Gromazika. These two drivers fairly equal on pace, although it does seem that the last couple of laps Smolder has been closing in. Trying to get another good result after finishing on the podium just a moment ago on the last race. But as we've seen, overtaking not very easy if you're close on pace around here. Obviously seen a few overtakes at the start of the race when the faster drivers were coming through. But at the moment, Smolder's pace looking really good. As we go into the corkscrew now for the 13th time here in the race, not counting the formation lap. Now question is, can Smolder set up a move here? It's very close here, and Gromazika pulls the trigger to fend off a possible undercut. And that promotes Smolder up into P3. Meanwhile, back up the front, Yogok still not finding a way past Fubar. But with the penalty, currently doesn't really need to. And since we've got another race to go, not really much pressure there for him tonight. His chances for the championship are looking very good. But obviously if you can bag it tonight, you would try to do that. But he's still got some way to go as we're closing in on the halfway point here of the main race. So just having a look here at the timing sheets, we can see Domino with a 1 second, TPW with a 2 second penalty. So those are the other two drivers besides Fubar, who have currently got a penalty towards their name, as we can see Yogok there in the background. Had quite a moment there coming out of the Andretti hairpin. And it looks like Fubar had a really bad run here. Joguk's now going to try and go round the outside, mind you, of turn number 5. But Fubar shut the door on him there. So Joguk did have a moment out of 2. But it looks like Fubar had some issues in either 3 or 4. I didn't quite catch that in the moment. And as you can see, it's really put pressure on him now. He's got Joguk right behind him for company, and lap traffic ahead in the way as well now. He's going to be screaming, get out of the way, and battling for the lead of a race here. And Joguk really pushing hard now. You can see he's right behind Fubar, and surely he's going to have some sort of attempt here going into turn 1, because see, it looks like Fubar's straight line speed is a bit better as Joguk dives around the outside again, trying to make the move. Oh, and there was a bit of contact there. Fubar not leaving too much space, really fighting hard here to hold on to that first position, that lead of the race here. And again, Joguk not through, has to collect himself and think about a new strategy how to get past. But wow, Joguk was late on the brakes there into turn 2. That was quite a surprising move there from Joguk, because it looked like he didn't have the straight line speed compared to Fubar, and then he just went for that lunge down the outside. So crazy move there from Joguk, but didn't pay off for him, unfortunately. And now again he's at that 1.5 seconds behind that he was previously, so perhaps it would be an idea to try and get past over the strategy. But you can see, having a look here, Inky Chris now only 22 seconds behind Fubar, so it's looking very good actually for Inky Chris here to possibly win this race tonight, if he can continue to show good pace. He's got a 6-second gap to Smolder, next car ahead. Obviously Smolder not stopped yet. And Speedy Go in the chat cheering for the Alpha Red Flying Monsters Team Championship. And I'm perfectly honest, I haven't looked into that so far, but none of the drivers from Racing Team Orgrania are here tonight, and the gap was 105 points. So it's looking very good, to be fair. And I've just looked onto my timesheet and missed you're getting past Fubar. Now that's very unfortunate. But as you can see, Fubar dropped behind and already lost 7 seconds. Joguk also with the time penalty. Just having a look, Joguk 3, Fubar 6 seconds. So yeah, that's unlucky. We've been following this battle for several laps now, and just the second I look into the point score, that happens, and Joguk gets through. Now Fubar, as a reaction of that, decides to pit, get that over with, and then concentrate and focus towards the rest of the race. We can see he's pulled into the pits now, as has Smolder and Inky Chris. Yeah, that's what I wanted to talk about. He's easily through. Question is now, how close is it to Joguk? Gap currently 20 seconds. And that's looking very good for Inky Chris at the moment. He's been consistently quick on the alternate strategy, going for a very early stop. And at the moment, it's looking very good for him. Question is, when is Joguk going to come in? We've seen him come in fairly late at some races. Really just on the last lap or the one before. Now, since Fubar made that mistake, he knows Fubar's not really a threat, but he should have Inky Chris now on his onboard timing screen and should see that gap. Now, unfortunately, Joguk can't know if Inky Chris was in the pits yet or not. Not sure how much attention he pays to the timing board while trying to keep the car on track and be quick. But I'm pretty sure that 20 seconds aren't gonna suffice. So that's definitely going to be very interesting. But we've seen how quick Joguk can be. So I'm sure he'll try to now get some laps in. Get some good lap times on the board. And drive towards that next race win. But that Fubar incident, that's really helping Inky Chris to stay in this championship fight. So currently not looking like we're going to have a decision on that front tonight. But that doesn't matter. I'd rather have it on the last night than decided early, as Yogurt now is diving into the pits. He's decided it's his time to come in. And he's going to have to stick to the speed limit in the pits as he pulls into his pit box. Now, let's have a look. Where's Inky Chris? He's currently coming through turn 10. And to be fair, that's looking really good. One last corner until he comes into the start finish straight. Yogurt still in his pits box. He's been released now, but this is Inky Chris coming down the start finish straight. You can see Yogurt there on the left hand side, and Inky Chris is through into the lead. So, tides have turned here in this race. Inky Chris with solid lap times and a good alternate strategy found his way into P1 after being third before the stops. And even without Fubar's mistake, he was just ahead of Yogurt by, let's say, 1.5 seconds before that incident. And he'd be in second, so even if Fubar were still ahead of Yogurt, even still if things had stayed as they were, Inky Chris' strategy working out very nicely. So just having a look. Smolder has also done his stop, so most drivers have already completed their stop. We've got another 12 laps to go after this one. And the current running order is we have Inky Chris here in P1 trying to keep his championship hopes alive. Yogurt in second, Fubar third, Smolder in P4, Happy Al in P5, Gromazika P6, the Kinky One is 7th, TPW in P8, Domino in 9th, Darth Osiris, currently the last one in the top 10, and then Atomic, with that crash that he had, only running in 11th at the moment, and has crashed in both races, mind you. So, not really his night, but he's soldiering on. 11th is worth 5 points, and as I've said, considering the gaps in the midfield, which are usually just somewhere between 2 and 10, to be honest, every point counts. So everybody trying to get into a rhythm now, but on the last lap, Inky Chris only doing a 1 minute 11, so he had some sort of issue. And Yogurt, meanwhile, setting faster sectors, so going very different ways at the moment for the two drivers. But even if Yogurt does get past Inky Chris here, that wouldn't decide the championship. But it definitely would make it easier for him to win it in the next race. Let's just have a quick peek at the penalties again. Yogurt has 3 seconds. Fubar already has 8. Domino and TPW where they were earlier. So even if Yogurt does manage to get ahead, as just having a look at that, 1 minute 8.5. That is an absolute blistering lap from Yogurt. I don't know where he pulled that one off, but he's already on the attack here in turn number 2, going into turn 3. I wasn't quite close enough there, but man, where did that pace come from? Has he been sandbagging in race number 1 or what? Didn't manage to go below 1 minute 9s, and now on the main race we're doing twice the distance. Man, what a pace. He's going round the outside in turn 5. Side by side up the hill. We try and go round the outside in turn 6. Yes, he swoops to the inside. Keeps it on track just. And takes the lead away from Inky Chris, who's going to try and find back there side by side into the corkscrew. Surely not. Inky Chris thinking better of that one. Yogurt in the lead now. And what a move. Where's that pace suddenly come from? He's 2 seconds faster than Inky Chris. I can't believe it. Absolutely incredible stuff there from Yogurt. Well, he's definitely giving it everything. Wow. What a race from Yogurt. Incredible stuff. It's like he suddenly turned a switch and just went into rocket ship mode. What a lap. TBW coming into the pits. Looks like a scheduled stop, I think. And currently in 9th. I think that's smaller that just went past a lap him. And there's actually Roma Zika here catching up to Happy Al. He's been running a fairly decent race. Has been struggling with pace from time to time. Now makes that mistake, unfortunately. As soon as he gets that screen time. That's very unfortunate for him. And Gromazika slips through to finish 5th. And again, very, very consistent finishes from the Russian driver. And he also, one of the guys who's been very consistent, just like Smolder. And also hasn't gotten a podium yet. So, looks unlikely at this stage. So, perhaps in 2 weeks' time, the last round, he can manage to get on that podium step. Definitely would be well deserved, considering his consistency throughout the season. And having a look here, back at the front, the gap now, the first time it's been over 3 seconds. And just taking the screen, yeah, that's the gap that Yogurt's gonna need if he wants to win this race at the end. And now the gap has dropped back down a bit. So Inky Chris gonna try to stay in that window, but I mean, looking at Yogurt's pace, I mean, he did a 1:08 for Christ's sake. I mean, what you gonna do? That's, and again, a 1:08.9. That's I mean, I think they both had to lap someone, but that's 1.5 seconds difference. And at the moment, I don't see any way how Inky Chris is gonna come back on that one. So, absolute incredible pace from Yogurt, absolutely stepping it up, and very, very impressive drive there from him. So, lap 27. So, another quick rundown here. Obviously, after turning up that pace, Yogurt now into the lead. Inky Chris in 2nd. Fubar is currently in 3rd. And Smolder 13 seconds behind him. But Fubar gets more penalties and actually already up to 11. So, if Fubar doesn't watch out with those penalties, or makes a mistake and that gap closes, he might again lose a 3rd position to Smolder. So he really has to watch out if he wants to actually finish on the podium tonight. So Smolder in 4th. Got Gromazika in P5. Happy Al, decent race. Currently sitting in P6. Kinky 1 in P7. Having fairly quiet races tonight. I've got Domino in P8, TPW in 9th, Darth Cyrus going very slowly through the corkscrew in 10th, and then we've got Atomic in P11. Yeah, and let's have a look. It looks like the gap is fluctuating very strongly, so I think that might just be the timing system not being very accurate tonight, unless Yogg now has a very slow lap time when coming across the line, so I'll have to wait on that. I mean, I'm not going to say it's not possible. Well, he made a mistake, and he did. 1 minute 14. He lost a lot of time there, 5 seconds compared to his previous pace. So gap now again below 3 seconds. So it's definitely not over yet. We can see Yogg can make mistakes. So if Icky Chris keeps it clean, keeps it consistent, he still might nick away that win, but it's definitely going to be very tight. Got the kinky one in the pits for a stop. And just having a look, I think he's already out of his pit box. Yeah, going towards the pit exit. And I think he should be coming out in 7th easily. So no positions lost there. See that behind is Roma Seca, but he's a lap ahead. Or is that Domino actually? Yeah, Domino coming around here, and Roma Seca just, sorry, the kinky one just gets ahead of Roma Seca and especially of Domino, because they are fighting for position. As he now lets Roma Seca through, has to watch out that Domino doesn't profit from that, but looks like Kinky One has prevailed and currently ahead of Domino. Question is now, who of these two drivers has the better pace? I think Domino has cut the chicane there a bit, but didn't get any notification that he got a warning or something for that. Oh! Domino over the inside curb there, I think, in turn 9 in Rainy Curve. And that's sent him into half spin and lost a couple of seconds there to the kinky one, but kept it out of the wall, fortunately enough. So it's going to continue, currently sitting in P8. Now again here, gap now again up to about 5 seconds. So it looks like you're again pulling ahead. But Inky Chris again has found a bit of his pace back, both in the 1 minute 9s the last time around, although Yogg still extending the gap by a few tenths. And at the moment it's looking very, very good for Yogg. So just having a look here at the gap between Fuba and Smolder, and it looks like Fuba on the last lap, he did 1 minute 20, and we can see he's got no front wing actually. So huge mistake there from Fuba, and he's only got 3 laps to go including this one. So a question is he going to pit or is he going to try to brave it out? But he's definitely going to lose the spot to Smolder, and we shouldn't forget that he's also got an 11-second time penalty as well, as Smolder now gets through into 3rd. So looks like after not finishing on the podium so far this season, he's in a good shot for double podium tonight. And a gap to Roma Seca behind is 23 seconds. So can Fuba stay ahead of Roma Seca with that 11-second penalty? And just looking, he didn't get any more penalties. And Yogg actually has 7 seconds of penalties, so he's picked up more. And that again is going to make the fight for the win even more interesting, because the gap is not big enough. And Yogg again making a mistake on the last lap, 1 minute 15, so lost another 5-6 seconds there on the last one. Is he crumbling under the pressure? I'm wondering. I mean, he's not going to win the championship tonight anyway, with the constellation as it is at the moment with Inky Chris in 2nd. But he's been continuously making mistakes. He's had rapid pace, superhuman pace tonight, but towards the end of the race he's making more and more mistakes, possibly getting a bit tired, perhaps losing concentration, and that might really cost him the race, to be perfectly honest, because just having a look, he's got a 7-second penalty as we can see, and That's really going to hurt. Roma Seca in the pits? I'm not quite sure. I thought he was in already. So that's going to make life easier for Fubar. Because the gap behind now increased by quite a bit. And he's only going to have a lap after this one left. So looking very good for Fubar. To at least keep 4th position, and bet that's going to be a very big or very painful experience, let's put it that way, to drive around without a front wing, that is for sure. And Yogurt with another mistake, and he's actually now dropped to 2nd. Wouldn't have mattered much for the result anyways, because of all his penalties. Well, that means Inky Chris looking very good now. Just the last sector to take some points away from Yogurt. Looks like at the moment it's going to be 5 or possibly 3, because I think Yogurt has the fastest lap. So championship won't be decided tonight, as Yogurt takes a hard-fought and well-earned victory here at Laguna Seca, as Yogurt comes in 2nd and does a bit of a spin there in celebration. Or perhaps frustration, who knows. As Smolder was very good races tonight. Keeping it clean, keeping out of trouble. Good strategy tonight, and that is a double podium for him tonight. I'm very sure he's going to be very happy about that. Meanwhile, we have Fubar here, who has a 40-second gap to Roma Seca, even though he has an 11-second penalty, means he's not going to lose another spot. And limping his car across the line now to finish in 4th. 2 4th places there for Fubar tonight. Been a difficult evening for him, even though he had decent pace. And I think, yeah, Roma Seca happy hours already through. The kinky one is now going to come across the line to finish 7th, closely followed by Domino. He's going to finish in P8, TPW P9, Darth Cyrus in 10th, and Atomic finishes in 11th place. And there are the final results on screen for you. So Inky Chris with that win, and that was a very eventful race. We had different strategies. We had that rapid phase there from Yogurt, where he suddenly just pulled out 2 seconds on basically everybody else. But then with the issues and the penalties towards the end, means he only is going to finish in 2nd, and the championship decision will be delayed until the next time round. So, because of the technical difficulties tonight, unfortunately I've decided to not do any interviews, because I'm going to try and fix that as soon as possible. So, this point, just the information about the season finale here of season number 2 of the Formula Renault 3.5 League. It's going to be in 2 weeks' time, 3rd of August, and we're going to be racing at Silverstone. So that's going to be a very great end to a season. We're definitely going to be having a championship decided there. And at the moment it's looking very good for Yogurt. I hope everybody enjoyed watching tonight, and hope seeing you guys next time. Bye bye.